everybody's awake this morning. That's great. Last night must have gone well. Everybody went home, got a good night's sleep. Good, good. The check-in is over, the chaos is done. We're kind of rolling now. That's great. Anyway, well, every year I get to say a few words, and I hear my lighting's back. I look younger back here, so I was told, so I'll stand back a little. So anyway, I get to say a few words every year. They let me talk. I mean, I talk here and there, but but I enjoy it. And what I want to do is just really kind of welcome you all, talk a little bit about talk a little about our industry, and really kind of fill you in on the kind of the big vision, kind of where we're going, so you understand a little bit more about TopoDOT and the team, and how we're scaling, we're expanding, we're doing new things, and what we want to do is we feel that you guys are partners in this, and we want you to understand where we're going, why we're going, and we actually invite your feedback. You know, this is what you think of, you know, if this is going to meet your needs and be able to support you into the future and bring you into that future with the technology innovation, you know, we've been known for. So, so I want to welcome you, and I want to get, before I really get started too, I just really want to, you know, thank Rosen College. I don't think Ariane is not there, but that team, and if anybody from Rosen is here, I think we're running everything now, so I don't think they're here, but they've done a great job, and so we want to thank them because it's a beautiful campus, and we're really blessed to have a place like this. So they do a great job every year. And of course, I want to thank Team TopoDOT. You know, doing everything we have to do all year and all year, and then putting on this tuck is a big task, is a big effort, and basically planning for tuck starts in about the end of the summer, and it goes through, and it gets really serious in January. So I mean, tuck just goes through all year. So I really want to thank the team. You know, that it works so well. And, you know, there's little tweaks here and there, we know, but bottom line is, you know, I think everybody's expressed, maybe you're just being polite, but I don't think so. That's been a really good experience for you so far. So we appreciate that, and I appreciate the team, and I just personally want to thank everybody in Team TopoDOT for all your hard work. So, then, I want to talk a little bit about tuck, because as I was, you know, thinking about what I was going to say this year, we started tuck there was tuck 16, and so that's 8 years ago. 9, I guess if you count 16, right? So 9 years. This is the only conference like this in the world. There's nowhere else where you go and just really just discuss how you process, let's call it modern geospatial data, which is like point clouds, images, and how you get that out. There's nothing like this. The TopoDOT community, worldwide community, is very big. You guys are, well, we're blessed to have you guys here. It's great. You're close enough to take care of this opportunity, because right now we're up to about 6,000 users around the world, and obviously they're not all here. So we're trying to think about how we expand this, and it might be an online presence, might be a virtual. We have dreams of doing it in other parts of the world, but like I say, it's a major undertaking, so it might take a while. But anyway, and of course, I want to thank our sponsors too. They're an audience. You know, we couldn't do it without you, and it's not your monetary support. It's really bringing your technology, your ideas, your experience, because tuck is really a collaborative experience. And I want to thank everybody that's been here and coming for years. I see familiar faces all the time. Wow, just to keep coming, or coming a lot of you come every couple of years, and then to catch up on things, and we really appreciate that, because that just, well, it makes our community stronger, because your experience that you bring back, your ideas, and you go back with a new knowledge of where we are, where our technology is, and how to apply that. And the more successful you are, the more successful we are. I've always told our team that, you know, our success is built on your success. So that's why we answer the phone when you call, and that's why we help you so much, and everybody seems to appreciate that. And then 40% of you are brand new to TUC. So that's a testament to, you know, how much this whole community is expanding. We appreciate you being here. And what I'd like to point out is that, especially for you 40%, you're really, look around because you're among some of the most dedicated and talented people in the industry. I mean, everybody in TUC has kind of been the genesis of a lot of innovation in this technology. Before TopoDOT was there, I mean, we started TopoDOT because it wasn't because we were brilliant and we were going to do this. We just were having problems processing point cloud data like everybody else. I don't know if you know my history. I started Regal USA with Dr. Regal, and I had hardware, and I went into an old conference called SPAR, and I walked in, and every customer I had was really pissed off at me and said, man, that scanner you said isn't doing anything. I said, what do you mean? I mean, it's working. Well, the scanners are working. I can't get anything out. I can't get paid for anything I do in this thing. I just have point clouds. And okay. So the bell went off, and I said, well, geez, this isn't a great career move. I mean, you can't sell stuff that doesn't work, and everybody's mad at you. So we started down the road of, you know, we're going to have to find software to actually extract and to make these deliverables. We had to learn how to make the deliverables. We had to learn what they were. We had to do projects for free to understand, you know, I didn't know what a topography was. I had no idea. So we did some earlier stuff with some Hubbard construction, I think it was, and they just said, okay, if you do it for free, well, you can scan and give us a topo. And so we did that, and we learned that, yeah, we understood why everybody was mad at the software that we had been selling, the third-party stuff, because I think the first mile we did, back when Mowdy and the team were interns, and there were about 5 of them out there, 1 mile was about 3 weeks and 40,000 mouse clicks, they figured. So, you know, you new guys are like, you guys don't know how good you have it, because it was ugly. And then, of course, half the data was misaligned by, you know, 6 inches, and you go, okay, that was just another added extra. So it's come a long way, and so we're really, you know, really proud. I'm just wanting you to know that when you're in TUC, you know, this has been the genesis of a lot of innovation here. And I will tell you, we go around the world, and nobody processes, nobody does as much mobile LiDAR, mobile scanning, and especially the transportation corridors in the infrastructure where we focus. They're still in Europe. There's not as much TopoDOT there, and they're just pilot projects with mobile LiDAR. They don't use it like we do. It's not entrenched in the processes, entrenched in the DOTs, entrenched in the requirements for basically having mobile LiDAR, or, you know, for transportation. They haven't reached there yet, and we're getting there. You know, we have a lot. We're expanding very quickly now in Europe, and it's really, the market's wide open for us because it works, and they don't have anything that works. So, so you guys are leading the way, and it's really something to be proud of, and to let you guys know, especially younger people, that this is a great place for your career, and where you're going to be in the future, and where you're going to go, because it's just going to keep expanding. So basically what we do here is in TUC, so we don't just try to show you TopoDOT and that piece of the puzzle. With our sponsors and everything, we're trying to show you the entire puzzle and how it all fits together. And that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what our innovations, what our vision is for the future, and how we're going to position to take you to the next level. So let's see. So I'll do my clicker. So there's a lot to talk about, and I can't talk about everything, you know, guys, I would like to. But we want to talk to you about how we're going to start with how we're actually scaling our operations and kind of changing them, changing our focus, because we want to serve you better. Now, we have a reputation, and everybody's very appreciative, I think, when we say, wow, you guys answer the phone, which is interesting that this is an innovation, but, you know, it's, but we appreciate it. They, you know, sometimes the rest of the software world didn't make it hard for us. All you got to do is answer the phone and help people, and you're kind of like 3/4 of the way there. So, so we don't want to lose that. But we have our own challenges with scaling, because the market and the community is getting really big. And so we're hiring more people, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Not so much to show you that we're getting bigger, but why and how we're organizing and how we're positioning ourselves to help you. And it might give you guys ideas how you might scale your own operations a little bit, you know, in the future. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk a look at the processes and values. I like to think of things from a business perspective, so because we know that your success is our success, so we get there together. And so I want to, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit today about how we're scaling, how we're changing our operation to serve you better, and then what strategies we're going to try to implement with you so that you can actually improve the value of your data and your services. Because we really think, I think we all kind of agree in some sense that the value of geospatial data and of point clouds and all this comprehensive, you know, knowledge about the surrounding environment, all the geospatial information you get is very, very unused. I mean, we talked yesterday, was a great panel discussion, because everybody has problems with data. They have a lot of data. It's not just storing data. It's just you've got value inside of a hard drive, and nobody knows how to get it out. And nobody's got a business model to exploit it further and to monetize it. So we're going to talk a little about that, what our vision is. But the first thing I want to do is talk about the team. And you saw this yesterday. And so I just want to kind of explain a little more about why we scaled the way we are and what it, you know, what it means to you. So let's talk about some new faces. So we have some new faces here. And I just want to introduce you and say a couple words just so you guys kind of get it. So Dylan Sklar is our new marketing communications manager. And we have now a Marcom department, you know, such as it is. It's, you know, we're not real big, but that's it. And we realized a little while ago it's a full-time job. And it's interesting about Dylan. He's been here a little while ago, just a little while, and he got the new website up and running. It's version 1.0, but it'll change and it'll keep updating. That new website, please visit it a bit more. You're going to see much more information. There's going to be a lot more content. There's going to be a lot of things changing. We're going to communicate with you through that website better. There'll be more case studies. There'll be more, you know, we have visions for not just being, hey, here's how you buy TopoDOT. It's going to be, you know, an ongoing live document where this is the latest things that are happening. You know, how do we connect you within our community so you can not just communicate with us, but basically throughout the community and find partners, find people with experience that you want to talk to, things like that. So it's going to be really key. And you know, Dylan's very good, and then it's interesting. So he works with Marcella, who does a great job as in our graphic, does all the graphics and the cool Professor Topo things and all the cartoons and things you see there, and everything, all the graphics we do. And it's interesting, I thought about that. When you know you hired the right person, when, you know, I talked to Marcella, who is just in the community marketing, she was the marketing department pretty much, and she was like so thrilled that she finally had somebody to work with, that, you know, Dylan's great, this is going great. She just had a new energy, and she just went on and on. So I said, well, that's really great. And then it occurred to me that Dylan kind of was taking my place. And I didn't know Marcel was suffering so much, but it was really because I kind of helicoptered in once in a while and did stuff. Well, you guys know I have smaller companies. We didn't have a department, so it was just like me showing up once in a while, and it was hard for Marcella to really figure out what we're doing every week or month or whatever. So that's going better. And if you notice to our left, we'll start with consulting services. So we started a group. We'll talk about that in a minute. But right now within there, there's this, you notice we have Givi Zambrano, and she's joined us, and you're going to see her more from Givi. She's been with us about 7 months, and she's kind of getting on board with actually getting to the point where she can do more demonstrations and support, and that's really helpful because, of course, you know Mike, and you know Felipe, and you know Zach, and you know, a lot of you guys have been talking to those guys for years now. And then Andrea comes and visits us all the time. She's from Romania, and she's taking care of all of Europe by herself, which is a big job. So Magnus Krampen, you might have seen here, is a good-looking guy walking around here somewhere. I don't know where he is. But he's from Germany, and he's going to start helping us in that market. So we're kind of growing, and he's going to help Andra. And then hopefully we can kind of really kind of share resources across the continent, because they can go online and help anybody. And so we're going to expand our group. And then you have up there, a good-looking guy in the upper left is Paul DiGiacobi. And Paul is our senior director of this consulting services, which is, Paul, I think I mentioned yesterday, here he is. He brings, you know, we've known each other for years. Paul is really instrumental in talk about innovators. He's taken TopoDOT from just the beginnings. I think Paul and I met when he was at HNTB. And they were, I mean, they had vision because, you know, they were trying to, they said, okay, this mobile LiDAR is going places. And if anybody remembers what it was like in, well, Paul, 2008 or something? Yeah, I mean, typically, talk about being ahead of the curve and being a little insane, you know, because there was like scanners on the sides of platforms flopping around down 8 foot apart, and the data was all over the place. It was misaligned. And those guys had a vision with Paul and Chris and his team, you know. So we started talking. We just dinner, and we developed under their guidance. Say, well, what do you need? And we developed TopoDOT with their input. Long story short, Paul went to Mazer, and he ran that operation. And under his leadership there, I mean, their operations just grew. It was crazy. And I would say, you know, Paul was a lot. Outside of the guys here at TopoDOT, for years have been responsible for our success because he was out in the market making it happen. And all you need is somebody good, and the competition goes, okay, this guy's killing us. What do we got to do? And you start getting phone calls, and they kind of say, okay, you know, you start selling TopoDOT, and everybody starts going these processes. So Paul's a visionary, and we're happy to have him here, and it's really going to help because he's going to take this new group. And this is going to grow, and this is going to be bigger, and this group has a mission. Now, we're calling it consulting services, and everybody always eyebrows raised when you say, okay, we're doing consulting, because you guys are all consultants, and everybody gets a little nervous. We are not in any way competing. We're not going to process data. We're not going to do things like that. We're basically, what we're going to do in this consulting is basically help companies, help you guys really organize your operations in a way that's going to realize the value of your data and your services better. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So, but before I go, the last person, and you guys might have caught this, and you might have said, is up there. Next to me, there's a young lady, Robin Ryan, partner at TopoDOT, and Jennifer showed that to me, and I said, yeah, that's good, it's fine. You know, she showed me, is this all right for the organizational chart? And I said, okay. And then I was looking at it, and I go, well, you know, anybody seeing this for the first time, they see an attractive blonde partner at TopoDOT up there with Ted, might raise some eyebrows. And basically, you know, and you know, said, I don't know. You know, it's just like, well, what does she do? And what's, you know, what does that mean, partner at TopoDOT? And you know, some of you guys might be saying, go Ted. You know, great. It's, you know, we don't. But, sorry, hon. Anyway, but I can explain. So you're going to see a lot, you're going to hear a lot from Robin, you know, and you're going to kind of meet her here and there. So, well, Robin's qualifications for being a partner. First of all, she's our biggest investor, and I'll explain that in a bit. But in addition to being our biggest investor, she's an extremely talented salesperson. She just recently retired from Universal Universal Orlando, where she ran a $320 million department, something like that. Big numbers that I don't conceive of yet, but if she can get us halfway there, I'll be thrilled. But she basically had a big team. And what you're interesting to find is that whether you're selling software, whether you're selling services, whether you're selling whatever, or you're getting butts through turnstiles at Universal, a lot of the principles as far as how you talk to you divide your markets, how you attack markets, how you basically keep track of everyone, communicate with all your agencies. Robin had about, 1,000 agencies that she oversaw of travel agencies. And so basically, the principles are all the same. And when you're running a small operation, you're expanding, and I kind of explained with me and, doing some of the marketing here, putting myself down there. We have different, you guys in the smaller companies, your face belongs in about 5 or 6 different places, and everything you do 10% of the time or something like that, and you kind of do it. So let's say everything got a little clumsy. There's a lot of things we could clean up and get better. So Robin's here to make us more efficient. And yeah, and she's very talented. And the bottom line is, and so her last name is Robin Ryan Knaak. So we get to share a hotel room when we travel, and it's okay with HR. I checked. And I'm HR, so it doesn't matter. But bottom line is, so you'll hear from Robin in different ways. So she's not there every day. She's not selling or directly, but she's really helping us build our processes. So I get to work with the woman I love, and she gets to tell her husband what he's doing wrong and how can he improve. So it's a dream job. So anyway, so that's for the new expansion, and I just want to share that with you. So now the TCS mission. So we're going to get to what Paul and the team are going to oversee. So we oversee. This is exciting. This is really kind of how we see it. So what we're trying to do is support the community in implementing the on-demand digital twin process. We kind of talk. Digital twins are, you guys know, you've heard me say this. Digital twins are whatever they want them to be. So they're almost nothing. It's like pictures a digital twin. You make one vector is a digital twin, curved, or you make 1,000 vectors in big bottle. It's a digital twin. So nobody knows what it is, but it's just a virtual model, right? Synchronized in frequency and fidelity. Okay, but it's interesting. So the on-demand process, we'll talk to you a little bit about that. We think that's going to change things, and we'll tell you why. What we want to do is position geospatial operations at the center of a collaborative ecosystem comprised of all supported operations. Great sentence. Took me a while to come up with that. But here's what it really means. Everybody actually wonders, we have all this cool technology, and nobody's quite sure what the role of the surveyor is and what's happening. What's the role of geospatial operations in this? And many times I kind of see as well, the engineering world just sees, we tell you what to give us, you just give it to us, and then we go do our thing. And you're on the front end of most projects, 4 or 5% of the cost, something like that. Right, Paul, something like that, yeah, give or take. So, and then the collaboration that we talked about, it doesn't really happen. I mean, you have such this value, but it's not really been exploited. So we're kind of repositioning and kind of redefining, we think, in many ways, what the geospatial operations, how they're going to fit into this collaborative ecosystem, so to speak. So we're going to talk about that. And then our ultimate objective is to increase the value of your geospatial data and your operations. The talent, the expertise you bring. So, well, that's bold. How are we going to do it? So you can come up here once a year and say something, but what's the plan? How? Should have looked over there. Well, this is the implementation. This is what we teach now. In fact, I was kind of kicking myself because I really want to put this on more swag and more stuff. And I should send in all you guys with mouse pads and things that have this diagram on it, because this is your TopoDOT. This is your digital twin production process. whether even if you've never seen it before, this is what you do. I mean, it's not unique to TopoDOT. These are the things in the orange, you have to acquire data, you have a system level process, and you have a control survey, and that all happens in the field, right? So that's how you make the point cloud. And these aren't trivial things out there, but in the TopoDOT world, we don't care so much. I mean, how you get this point cloud in, we don't care. We just start taking over when it's green and say, well, how do you manage that data? How do you assess its quality? How do you make sure it's going to meet your objectives? And then how do you extract? And the extraction in that one box is all the sexy stuff that everybody wants to learn, but that's good. And then we have another path around for model reprojection, assess the model. And then, of course, we do, and just keep it in mind, there's a control. You can take control in later to the process, which is always happening in mobile now. So if you take that later in the process, we can get you all fixed up, and you can readjust all your extractions and with the model reprojection. Bottom line is there's a path, and you should probably keep that in the back of your head because a lot of people don't use that yet, but it works really well, and a lot of people do, especially with mobile. It works extremely well. But the bottom line is you have this process. This process is working. This is what we do. We're all trying to improve that process, get the latest tools, but and that's what we're here for. But we're looking at that process inside of a bigger process, and we call this the on-demand. Digital twin on-demand production process. We want to position the geospatial operations at the center of this collaborative ecosystem. This is what I was talking about. Basically, this process now is folded into here. So you see TopoDOT logo, that's the process. So that's the team, that's your extraction team in there. They're doing this. But we have this geospatial operations administrator now. And interesting enough, in yesterday's, it came that, people have inherently, it's not just us, we figured out the same thing. There's actually people that are, from the panel discussion, our guests basically shared that they have guys that are just kind of taking care of data, making sure it's right, making sure it's up in the cloud, that it's all taken care of, that the quality's right, meets the specs, and then they pass it on to their team. Okay? So, inherently, implicitly they're doing the same thing, and we're talking about that. We want to kind of formalize that administrator position. Data collection happens out there, and again, you guys have multiple sources, multiple technologies. So there's the data fusion, all those things that, you can't just work with one, you're not just working with one platform, right? You're using multiple sources. So this administrator has to know how to put requirements on it, how to bring them through. And then, of course, the data warehouse, how do you organize your data? You guys, we've talked about TopoShare a bit. This isn't going to be a TopoShare demo, so to speak, but we're going to talk more about it. You guys already own that when you have TopoDOT. You can organize your data warehouse into a library with an interactive geospatial GUI that says, okay, how do I get to it? Where is it? How do I find within a minute any data I have and just grab it? And by the way, for like no money. It's just your cost of storage and transfer. We don't charge anything for that. It's not a service. It's not on our servers. It's all you. That's how we see the future. That's a tool that you guys use. And we really want you to use that because as you start doing that, we do have the fundamental process here, let me just back up a little bit, is that we go from data collection to geospatial operations and we give the supported operations whatever they want, okay? That's typically, I call it the linear process. It's just from beginning to end. And that, after a while, then after you give that, you get paid for that, and that's pretty much where you are now. This straight across, maybe you publish into GIS, CAD or whatever, but the bottom line, or CAD or ArcGIS or Esri or something like that, but you basically get everything out and you just give it to them. And then the data kind of sits there. It just kind of sits there, and everybody has stories about, wow, we just did, somebody called me and said, do you have data from a year ago? Paul has a great story about when we were going, Mazer, or was it Colliers, or HNTB? Oh, yeah. It was Mobay back in the day. There was somebody called a year later about, we had to do a high wall survey. Sound barriers, okay, yeah. And then they were going to do a $300,000 survey, and they said, well, call Paul, see if he's got the data. And Dave was like a year old or a year and a half or something. He goes, oh yeah, I still got that. Saved him $300,000. Did you get a check? And see, that's the problem. That's the problem. I didn't expect them to send them $300,000, but you should have gotten something, you know. Answering the phone, what a lot of these people don't understand, these engineering companies and all the guys that ask you stuff, first of all, it's only like happenstance. It's only like a happy accident when these things happen. I hear the anecdotal stories everywhere. You know, oh yeah, luckily the guy across, you know, I talked to the guy across the hall, the geospatial, I ran him to the hallway and he said, oh yeah, I can get the sign heights, you don't have to send somebody else out. Oh really? Well, that will save like $3,000 to measure a sign for a day, you know, just go out on the highway, stop. Well, it only just happens. We have to institution. We have to get that into the process. We have to make that work all the time. And we really got to start demanding in our business models compensation. We got to monetize it. And so what this does, so we have a product called TopoShare Enterprise. And again, it's a tool. It's a fixed price all year. That's it. And what that is, it's a web portal. And it allows all these supported operations to go into it, go into your warehouse and see what you have without them having access. You give them the program administrator, the geospatial operation administrator, when you set up your database with those links, you give it permission to, they can download tiles of data if they want, or they can't. But you give them enough metadata to understand where the data is, what line work you've pulled out. Calibrated images can come in, it'll show them, they'll get to see and look around in there. But it's all file-based. So every time they access it, it's pennies. So you can share this, a URL. All of a sudden now you can scale this because if you're just going and giving access to TopoShare, the web portal, into your particular that you own, to your data warehouse, you can give the URL to 1,000 people. It doesn't matter. It doesn't cost you anything. And those guys can come back, and if you notice here, we'll give them a link, and your name will be there, and they go, okay, I'm Joe Engineer. I saw that, you know, this looks like you have data. There was data here. I went to this URL. I found it, and I need something. I need a clearance. I need a volume. I need things that are valuable, right, that are going to save me money, and I need them quickly. Send you an email. They'll find you, because that's the biggest part. Nobody knows where you are. You know, you collect data and deliver it. These engineers aren't looking at it until 8 months, a year later, maybe more, you know, and then they don't know. So they just keep doing, they just measure it again. And they just update. Even though what you could answer in 10 minutes or a day or whatever, they're spending 3 or 4 days, and every time they call you and you do something, they're saving like $5,000, $6,000 of just daily work, right? So that's what it is. There's a deliver request. There's this feedback. There's this collaboration that's, right? This thing should go. Anyway, you can see it. These 3 people, that's the collaboration goes here, and it's very intuitive. And the nice thing about the web portal, anybody can learn to do it in 10 minutes. It's easy. So there's no, give some engineers TopoDOT and let them like extract from the point cloud. I don't even want that to happen. I used to think so. I can hardly train the people we have now. You know, I don't need 10,000 engineers with TopoDOT. That's just a mess. So, oh, we've got to wind it up. Okay, so bottom line is, when we go out, we're going to compete. We don't compete with anybody. Basically, all these third-party data viewers, if somebody wants to like rotate stuff around and click in it and look in panorama views, fine. We don't do that. You publish your data, you put it out, there it is. So why? Because this is where the money is. This is where we're going to get involved. This is what, you know, if you go to now engineering companies and say, what if your volumes during construction, we can tell you within a 1% instead of the 20% you're dealing with and you're negotiating on trucks and counting trucks. What if we can tell you, you know, give you clearances, give you stuff that in 10 minutes that you would go out and measure for days, look for assets. Whatever you do, I have this data. What does that mean? It is literally millions of dollars. We did some research, Paul and I, and basically said, look, a road project widening, 4 lanes or whatever, widening project over like 10 miles is about $100 million. 10 to 15% is change orders. We're not going to eliminate all the change orders working on this, but if we eliminate 1% with one project, it's $1.5 million. I guarantee you we'll eliminate 1% if you do this. That's what you have to start. That's the value that we're not really pushing, we're not doing. And with this, you can do it, because you can just give them a URL and they can look. All right, I got to get through this. TCS training strategy. We're going to divide it up into digital twin production, which is what we're doing now. We're going to have target geospatial administration, how you set all this up, what you're doing. These will be separate training modules. And you'll be able to do this, train a couple guys, because the same people don't learn everything. We're going to do a little acquisition, be a workshop kind of thing for maybe a day or so, but how do these guys talk to each other? The administrator actually puts the requirements on the data so they make sure they get what they need, and instead of, because this happens all the time still, that they're just getting point clouds that aren't meeting their specs because they didn't write the requirements right. So we know how to do that. This is the consulting we'll do. And we know how to establish the metrics. And then, how do you get to support operations? If you want them to use your data, you've got to create pull. So basically, we can go through and we could do workshops online, get 50 people and just kind of show them how this all works and get some engineers, the engineers on there and go, look, here's what happens. Here's how you communicate back to these guys and ask them for what you want. It's very simple. And we can just basically show them how that works. It'd be a few hours, something like that, just really focused. But what happens is, even if you don't have all this set up, if you go to your customers, go to your, internally, go to your engineering departments or whatever and say, hey, check this out. They start saying, well, that's a good idea. Okay, now I get what you're trying to do. All of a sudden, it kind of grates the pull and you can start doing this. All right, I got to get going. So that's what we want to do. You're going to hear about this. Okay, so this is what we want to do. Yep, Professor Topo, thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it very much. Did you leave any time?